When was the last time you allowed yourself to simply do nothing? Not scrolling, not planning, not filling the silence with noise, just being. For most of us, the answer is uncomfortable. Doing nothing feels dangerous, even wrong. We've been trained to believe that every moment must be productive, every breath accounted for, every hour squeezed until it produces something measurable. And yet, in the Netherlands, there's a word that stands quietly against this entire culture of busyness. That word is Niksen. It means literally doing nothing. Not in the sense of resting to recover energy so you can go back to work, not in the sense of strategic pausing to boost productivity later, but doing nothing for its own sake. For the sheer act of being alive with no agenda attached. Niksen has been gaining attention around the world, especially since the pandemic. Because in a time when many of us were forced to slow down, we discovered something both frightening and liberating. Life goes on even when we're not rushing. The sun rises and sets, the body breathes, the earth continues its ancient rhythm, and for the first time many realized maybe we don't have to run so hard. But Niksen is not laziness, it is not procrastination, it is not the collapse into distraction we feel when our minds are exhausted. Niksen is intentional. It is choosing stillness in a culture addicted to speed. It is reclaiming time not as a tool, but as a gift. Think of a cat sitting in the sun, staring at nothing in particular. It is not wasting its life, it is inhabiting it fully. That is Niksen. So why does it feel so radical to us? Because we live in what some call the era of multitasking. We eat while answering emails, we walk while listening to podcasts, we spend family dinners glancing down at glowing screens. We've been convinced that efficiency is the highest virtue. And that slowing down means falling behind. Niksen says otherwise. It says, you're not a machine. You do not exist only to produce. Your worth is not measured in output. Your value does not depend on your schedule. Niksen is the art of creating time to simply be, not to achieve. And this, perhaps, is the quiet revolution we need most. Imagine sitting in a chair by a window watching clouds drift by. You are not meditating, you are not strategizing. You are not practicing mindfulness with a timer or an app. You are simply doing nothing. Your mind may wander, your body may soften, and slowly you discover something rare, a spaciousness within yourself. Science, interestingly, is beginning to catch up with what this ancient practice suggests. Studies have shown that allowing the mind to wander freely can spark creativity, reduce stress, and even improve well-being. But beyond the studies, there's something deeper. Niksen gives you permission to step outside of the endless chase, to rest not because you've earned it, but because you are alive. This is where the rebellion begins. Because in a society that profits from your exhaustion, doing nothing is resistance. Every moment you refuse to monetize is a moment reclaimed. Every pause becomes an act of defiance against a culture that tells you must constantly prove your value. But here's the challenge. Doing nothing is not easy. Sit still for 5 minutes and the discomfort rises. Your hand twitches toward the phone. Your mind screams that you're wasting time. You feel the urge to fill the silence, to do something, anything, rather than sit with yourself. That's why Niksen is powerful, because it exposes the addiction we didn't realize we had, the addiction to busyness. So how do you begin? Start small. Allow 5 minutes in your day where you have no plan. Sit by a window. Lie on the floor. Stare at the ceiling. Let your thoughts drift without judgment. At first it may feel unbearable, but with practice you'll notice that beneath the noise of the world is a quieter rhythm waiting for you. And in that rhythm, something changes. You begin to notice the texture of sunlight on the wall, the sound of your own breath, the weight of your body resting unhurried. You realize life does not only exist in the grand milestones, but in the ordinary moments you usually rush past. Niksen is not about abandoning responsibility. It's about refusing to confuse busyness with meaning. It's about giving yourself permission to exist without justification. Imagine if every day you carved out just a little time for nothing. Not as an escape, not as a luxury, but as a practice of remembering who you are beneath the noise. Over time, this nothingness begins to change you. Your nervous system softens, your creativity expands, your sense of self deepens, and you start to see that presence, true presence, was never found in rushing. The world will tell you that doing nothing is a waste, but ask yourself, how much of your life has been wasted in busyness that meant nothing? How many hours have disappeared into screens, into endless tasks, into the pressure to keep up? And how much life have you missed in the name of being productive? Niksen invites you to flip the question. What if the most meaningful moments are the ones without purpose? What if life itself is the art of being, not the art of doing? So here is your invitation. Try it. 5 minutes today, 10 minutes tomorrow, maybe even a whole afternoon. Sit without guilt, be without agenda, do nothing and see what arises. You may discover that the silence you feared is not empty. It is full of everything you've been too busy to notice. Niksen is not laziness, it is wisdom. The wisdom to remember that you're not defined by your productivity, but by your presence. And in the end, maybe this is the greatest rebellion of all, to live a life that is not rushed, not measured in endless output, but lived fully in the calm, the still, the nothing. That turns out to be everything.